going on? What's up, everyone? Man, there's so much noise right now. Do aliens exist?
That's one of the biggest questions out there. Here's what we know. Scientifically, there's no direct evidence of aliens, no confirmed sightings, messages, or recovered spacecraft. The universe is unbelievably massive, with billions of galaxies, each containing billions of stars and planets. So many scientists believe it's statistically likely that some form of life exists somewhere out there. What kind of aliens? Could be anything, from simple microbes to advanced civilizations. NASA and other organizations are looking for signs of microbial life on Mars, under the ice of Europa or Enceladus, and in exoplanet atmospheres.
Oh.
UFOs, UAPs. The US government has acknowledged unexplained aerial phenomena, UAPs, but hasn't said they're alien, just that we don't know what they are. So in short, we don't know for sure, but the odds might be in their favor. You think they're out there?
Yes. Alright, so that was an interesting response. Okay, how about will we ever master time travel? Oh, this is a lot. This is okay.
Time travel. Sci-fi's favorite playground. Here's the deal. Theoretically, Einstein's theory of relativity allows for some time travel in a sense. If you travel close to the speed of light, time slows down for you compared to someone back home. That's been proven with atomic clocks on fast-moving jets. Wormholes, theoretical tunnels in space-time, could in theory allow travel between different points in time. But we don't know if they actually exist or could be made stable enough to use. Practically, we're nowhere close to building anything that lets us jump through time like in the movies. Even if we could, paradoxes pop up fast, like the famous grandfather paradox, where going back in time could prevent your own existence. So will we master it? Maybe someday, but right now, it's still science fiction with a sprinkle of real physics. If you could time travel, would you go forward or back?
So here's my problem with time travel. My problem with time travel is that, technically speaking, while you're time traveling, like, before you do this, you would want to analyze that you're correct about the space-time continuum. Like, that you know and that you completely understand that there aren't separate timelines, that that's not a thing, like Marvel sort of kind of does, and like that you understand the time how exactly that it does work, if it is linear, if it isn't, and then exactly how it works. Because again, what my problem with time travel is that while you're traveling through time stands still for you, but not for everybody you've left behind. And so by the time you come back to wherever you come back to, if it's linear, you can't. You'll try to go back, and what you'll end up doing is creating a branch, an alternate reality, an alternate existence. If that theory is correct, if time's not linear, if you try to go back, that reality isn't there anymore. Everybody's already long past, lived past, and aged past what they would have. So like, you have to realize, like, how would that then be possible for you to then go back? So, you know, like, you have to make sure, you know, like, that's my thing with time travel, is that you have to make sure you understand, like I just said, is it linear or isn't it linear? Because if you don't, this is how you unmake reality. This is how you create black holes. This is how you destroy things. This is, I mean, come on. That's the point. Is like, the atomic bomb was the example of us reaching generations past our technology. And in my opinion, if we ever saw evidence of aliens, they'd be scared of us simply just seeing nukes, understanding that we created such a devastating weapon. So you have to understand, like, how much past our own technology that actually is. So, with that being said, already doing that, using that, has catastrophic effects. We already know that our atomic bombs at this point are so great, are so destructive, we don't want to use them. If we use them, at this point, the Earth, the way it is, how delicate it is, climate crisis the way it is, how delicate things are, we could cause a global catastrophe using a single nuke. You can't fast forward your own technology that great without understanding what you're dealing with and exactly what goes behind it. Wow, you know, just to think that we grasp how to make something that great, but then again, the point is, even at the time, I mean, geez, we didn't even have microwaves yet. Think about that. You know what I mean? Like, just think about it. We didn't even have microwaves yet. So, we need to fully understand DNA. And I don't think that we will. Because if you are going to master time travel, space travel, whatever, it's more about what Star Trek did. It's more about teleportation. It's more about instantaneous. It's more about, you would never, ever, 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 ever be able to realistically actually travel that far, ever. So reality says no, not necessarily warp. Even that's not really how it works. The idea is that, you know, you see this warp drive open up like a wormhole almost, you know, like they talk about. And this is the theory, is essentially, you know, you end up learning how to bend space-time. But again, you can't do that until you understand what will happen if you do. There's one of my favorite horror movie of all time is Event Horizon. It's based on this concept, actually. Event Horizon, phenomenal movie. Anyway, so obviously we're not there yet. And uh, 186,000 miles per second, right? It's been a while. Is that right? To think that you're going to travel that fast and then do it, nah. So, mastering one's understanding of our genetic code, our makeup, suddenly you will unlock new technologies, just like Star Trek, just like in Star Trek, you know, the concept of medical scans and you know, like just using, like, I mean, we do that now, but like different, you know, like actually like using devices to fix things just because you understand how it should be, and this device can actually correct it using genetic recorrection, you know, like developing a technology that does that based on, you know, other parts of your body. You know, like you start scanning the person's body and it goes, okay, I've recognized the code, and it starts fixing things, you know, like basic things, not big things. Like obviously we're not talking about big things, but you know, in Star Trek the idea was that you could fix, you know, broken limbs and stuff like that pretty relatively quickly if you know, ran these scans. And hello. And so, like, you know, you have to understand, if you crack the DNA code, you also start understanding warp and teleportation. Because in order to split one's atoms and understand the molecular structure of atoms in general, that's what DNA is, man. And that's what atoms are. Atoms are just the DNA of everything. So, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, like, you know, when you're looking at DNA and you're looking at, you know, the makeup of life and stuff like that, you know, you want to understand how to put it back together and how to properly reassemble it based on what it originally started at. And with AI computers and stuff like that, that's not so far-fetched any longer. It's really not. It's really, really not. So, yeah, absolutely. And you start thinking about what Star Trek was able to do, thinking ahead about these technologies based on even what they had at the time. It's kind of amazing that they even came up with some of those concepts. You're a mod in one live stream. That's cool. Well, thanks for being here, Tina. I appreciate that. You're a mod in another stream, and you're hanging out in mine. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, just that's my 2 cents on all that, and I could probably go on for hours, but I'm not going to. I go on that subject for hours, but yeah, there's a lot you could talk about with that. I'm eating my snack too. Alright, what other questions do I have? For the AI. There's a few people. People are cycling in and out. I think you're the only chatter so far. Alright, let me think here.
Time travel. Time travel. Sci-fi's favorite playground.
My bad. Is it reasonable to think that you could have 1 million people on Mars by 2050? Oh shit, Elon, she's calling you out. Here we go.
Short answer, not really, but it's not impossible, just wildly optimistic. Here's the breakdown. Why it's a stretch. Tech isn't ready. We haven't even put humans on Mars yet, let alone build sustainable habitats.
I have to hear it again. I am so sorry. I have to hear that
Short
again.
answer, not really, but it's not impossible, just wildly optimistic. Here's the breakdown. Why it's a stretch. Tech isn't ready. We haven't even put humans on Mars yet, let alone build sustainable habitats, agriculture, radiation shielding,
Thank
etc.
you.
Launch logistics. To get 1 million people there, you'd need thousands of launches, assuming even
Thank
super
you.
efficient rockets.
Are you hearing what this? Oh my god, this is phenomenal. This is actually a really solid fucking answer, man. Like listen. Yeah, like the point is like even she. I think she even called it out solid radiation shielding, right? Like. Like calling out specific technologies. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Hold on.
On Mars yet, let alone build sustainable habitats, agriculture, radiation shielding, etc. Launch logistics. To get 1 million people there, you'd need thousands of launches, assuming even super efficient rockets like SpaceX's Starship. That's a massive bottleneck. Life support. Keeping people alive, air, water, food, shelter, medicine on Mars long term is a huge engineering and biological challenge. Money. The cost would be in the trillions and would need global cooperation or some seriously motivated billionaires. Time. 2050 is just 25 years away.
Did you
That's
hear
not a
that?
lot.
Oh my god.
Life support. Keeping people alive, air, water, food, shelter, medicine on Mars long term is a huge engineering and biological challenge. Money. The cost would be in the trillions and would need global cooperation or some seriously motivated billionaires.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh, she's just tearing this idea apart. It was so funny. This is the point. This is the shit that Elon Musk says that he just like. Oh my god.
Time. 2050 is just 25 years away. That's not a lot of time for colonizing another planet. Why some dreamers say maybe, Elon Musk's vision. He said his goal is to have a self-sustaining city on Mars with 1 million people by 2050. It's bold and pushes innovation. Tech is advancing fast. Reusable rockets, AI, robotics, and space tech are all accelerating. Surprises happen. So realistically, we might see a handful of people on Mars by 2050. Maybe a small
That's what I
base.
thought too.
But 1 million? That's
Yeah.
more sci-fi than schedule right now.
Yeah,
Would you
handful.
go if they opened up tickets?
Yeah, like that's a much more realistic and reasonable answer. I think. I think that's right. I think that's a very reasonable answer. It is far more reasonable than Elon Musk's overly optimistic 1 million people colonizing Mars. There's just no way, man. Like, again, like, you know, pointing out that it would take trillions, pointing out that the technology is just just aren't even there yet, and that's, again, only 25 years away, basically. Yeah, like, that's yeah, that's a reasonable response. Again, like, shouldn't say it's impossible, just extraordinarily optimistic and extremely unlikely. And yeah, that's reasonable. Because that's, yeah, absolutely, given all that stuff. Launch logistics, I actually liked that bullet point. The launch logistics bullet point, to get 1 million people there, you'd need thousands of launches, assuming even super efficient rockets like SpaceX's Starship. That's a massive bottleneck. Absolutely 100%. 1 million people, no. Absolutely 100% good point. Launch logistics is the biggest problem with that take, that ridiculous number. He's just saying that because it sounds good. That was funny. That was good. All right, how about? Isn't it likely that humans have been here for millions of years on this planet because we have found lots of evidence of buried cities that date back to 20 million years old?
That's a super intriguing idea, but as far as mainstream science and archaeology go, there's no credible evidence that humans or human-like civilizations existed millions of years ago. Here's the deal. What we know. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, have been around for about 300,000 years. Civilization, meaning organized societies with cities, writing, and agriculture, only popped up around 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. 20 million.
They've modded this answer. Some of this isn't accurate, actually. I'm not going to let her continue. Nope. This is not updated. I was literally just watching a National Geographic thing where they literally dug up. They're in the middle of an archaeology dig where they found human remains. I mean, it's National Geographic. I mean. So, like, this is the point. Like, I think some of this sometimes will just need updating as we get newer stuff, and like, because you have to realize that there's also times where people are gonna lean one way or another because of evolution. You know how people feel about that. So what it's not telling you is that the facts are actually that through carbon dating we've actually found rock formations that have carvings on them that are from tools, and if they're from tools, that indicates humans. So you have to realize when we carbon date that stuff, those buried cities under the water, you know, like where we find these, you know, like obviously the theory of the city of Atlantis and stuff like that. That's not you know, like millions of years and stuff, obviously, but I'm talking about like other things that we found more recently and stuff like that, where through carbon dating, the point is that we found these tool markings and various other things where it indicates humans and stuff like that. So you have to rationalize, and then we also find the evidence of, when we do the digs and stuff, and we do find the fossils and stuff of, even sometimes the mammoths and the dinosaurs, and even going further back. The point is that we had evidence that even going that far back, that there was a massive Armageddon-like thing that happened to them too. And so you have to rationalize that the more times this happens, the more buried and the more difficult each layer of civilization will be hard to find. The more buried it gets, there's only so far you can dig down into the earth. And eventually I would think that it would just be enveloped by, the eventual density of the center, eventually rode all the way down, or at least to a point at which that, it's not really going to be found. And this is where we need to continue our digs in the deepest trenches of the oceans, where we are finding these things, where we've never been, and then we go there and we see these creatures, these sea creatures that somehow have existed for, like timelines that are just astronomical, just insane. And then they're only somehow swimming around conveniently those areas. And then we also find, like really, really, really interesting, like fascinating things when we go down that low. A lot of times, there's always discoveries. There's always something. Like I can't even think of a time that, like, the point was that, like, you can't, every time they get lower and they go down and they do that and they figure out a new technology and they go lower than they've ever gone before, something happens. Somebody finds something, somebody figures something out, a new technology is developed. The point is, we need to do this more, and we need to find more, and we need to keep doing it. This will allow us to survive as well, because we know that aquatic life survives. We know that if we evolve and adapt to the water on our planet, it is very possible that we could survive an ice age even, because the oceans won't completely freeze. But, the good portions that will. There's some portions that will, obviously, and obviously good portions that won't. And those will be the warm sections of the planet, obviously, and stuff like that. And so, like, the idea is that we have evolved as a species always above ground, and we've continued to do this, but we've never actually continued to evolve, in my opinion, in the way that makes sense for what we've noticed about evolution. And that is, again, to evolve in the same way that these other species have survived. The species that we know that can survive, generations upon generations, and, just ridiculous amounts of timelines. And so what you want to do is start doing that, start somewhere. It really hasn't been done that much. Putin doesn't want you to do it because he's got submarines all over the place. But yeah, like, we need to be doing that more. And that's the point. That's a lot of the reason why we can't, is because right now there's a lot of war going on, but I'll be honest with you, it's far more important for us to figure out a way to survive. It really is. We ain't got much longer. Something's gonna happen. I mean, we all know it's coming. Something's gonna happen, man. I mean, I'm not saying now or tomorrow or like you never know, but like I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like 50, 100 years. I don't know. Possibly. Likely. A lot of things the planet's overdue for. We are overdue for, you guys know what a pole shift is, right? That's when the axis, like when the poles actually shift. Doesn't it happen every like 20,000 years or so? Something like that. Look into that. Let me hold on. Let me. What is a planetary polar shift? No, not ship. Not ship. It's thought I said ship. No. What is a planetary polar shift? Yes, this, yes. Okay, this, yes.
Planetary polar shift. Now we're in a fascinating and slightly controversial area of science and speculation. What is a planetary polar shift? A polar shift, or pole shift, usually refers to a major change in the position of a planet's geographic or magnetic poles. There are two main types. SPAP 1, magnetic pole shift, real and ongoing. Earth's magnetic poles are not fixed. They drift and even flip every few 100,000 years.
Correct.
The north and south magnetic poles have flipped many times in Earth's history.
Mm-hmm.
The last full reversal was about 780,000 years ago.
Okay, there it is.
This is called a geomagnetic reversal. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes thousands of years. It's a real, well-documented process and not catastrophic. It might mess with satellites, navigation and power grids, but it won't end the world. 2. Geographic crustal pole shift. Highly debated. This is the idea that Earth's entire outer shell, the crust and mantle, could suddenly shift or rotate, moving the geographic poles. Some fringe theories suggest this has happened rapidly in the past, causing mass extinctions or the sudden freezing of mammoths. Mainstream geology doesn't support this idea happening quickly. Earth's crust does move, plate tectonics, but extremely slowly, centimeters per year. In pseudoscience and doomsday theories, some claim a sudden pole shift could wipe out civilization, causing megaquakes, floods, and mass destruction. These ideas pop up in conspiracy circles, especially around Nibiru, Atlantis, or the lost knowledge of ancient civilizations. There's no scientific evidence backing the idea of a sudden global geographic pole shift. TLDR, magnetic pole shifts? Totally real, happening now, slow and natural. Geographic pole shifts? Not likely to happen suddenly.
Right.
More fiction and fringe theory than fact.
Right.
Want to dive into any specific theory or timeline you've heard about?
Good answer. Good freaking answer, man. Like that was a phenomenal answer. Very, very, very good answer. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Wow, this is some quality. We got some quality stuff getting answered here. This is good. Okay. So yeah, nothing too catastrophic with the one that's real. The conspiracy theory one is most likely not valid. And there's really no data to support it. So let me just think here. What are the chances that a Yellowstone eruption could cause a global catastrophe? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Great question. Yellowstone is a supervolcano and its potential is real, but let's unpack the facts versus fear. Could it erupt catastrophically?
Yes.
Yes, in theory. Yellowstone has had 3 massive eruptions in the past.
Yes.
2.08 million years ago, 1.3 million years ago, 640,000 years ago. These were VI8, Volcanic Explosivity Index, the biggest kind of eruption. If one happened today, it could cause massive local destruction, hundreds of miles, ash fallout across the US and parts of the world, global climate effects,
Yep.
A volcanic winter from ash and gases
Yep.
blocking sunlight.
So,
What are the chances, according to the UN?
so again, to shed some light on what she's talking about, a volcanic super eruption. Spot on freaking answers, man. A volcanic super eruption from Yellowstone would be the type of eruption that all at once Yellowstone just erupts instead of a little bit over time. It's just one massive, big, super eruption, and it is absolutely a possibility. And so what would happen is it would cover most of the United States and Canada, like literally most of North America entirely in ash. Basically everything would be destroyed. The weight of this ash would just destroy everything, for the most part. You wouldn't be able to breathe it in. Also, you wouldn't be able to see anything, and not only that, everything would just be destruction all around you. And wholly aside from the fact that the lava embers would be launching through the air, states out, like just states out from where it's launching from, like literally spitting out that far. The embers actually reaching that far, and thus cutting the rest of the world off from the resources that we have, and very most likely, like 90% chance, I think 90% or greater chance that it will spawn what is known as a volcanic winter, is what she was referring to. And a volcanic winter is something that affects the entire planet, and it would essentially be sort of like a new ice age, where for a very long time the planet would just kind of be withering and dying and cold. And nothing, it would be very hard to live. It's a harsh climate, almost nothing would survive, and you wouldn't be able to grow crops. Growing crops would be almost impossible. It would just be so cold. So that's what she's talking about. Very, very, very valid response to the rust here.
Geological Survey, UGS, the annual chance of a massive Yellowstone eruption is about 1 in 730,000, 0.001%. That's extremely unlikely, like way less than getting hit by an asteroid. What's happening now? Yellowstone is constantly monitored. It's seismically active, small quakes, gas releases, but there's no sign of an impending eruption. If something big were brewing, scientists would see weeks to months of warning signs: swelling ground, intense quake swarms, gas spikes, etc.
We are overdue.
So, global catastrophe? Possible? Yes. Probable in our lifetime? Very unprepared for. Kind of. Scientists are watching it closely 24/7.
That's a good
I want
answer.
to know how it would play out if it did blow one day, like a step-by-step scenario.
That's a pretty good answer. I actually kind of like how she sort of didn't really answer it at the end. Almost like, well, the possibility isn't, like, it's a pretty unlikely possibility, but it's basically what she's trying to indicate there, without flat out saying it, guys, is that the longer it takes for some pressure to leak out, the more likely it is, without flat out saying it. So, yeah, I mean, probably not, because the point is, like, right now, there's no indicator of that, that it's ready for that or anything like that, but yeah, like, you wait too long, it doesn't erupt. Another few hundred years go by, it doesn't erupt. Maybe 1,000 years go by, it doesn't erupt. that chance gets a lot bigger. Like it's literally just dwindles for sure. You know, just like the longer we orbit the sun, and you know, like we just sit here and there's an asteroid field and there's all kinds of stuff going through space. We don't got a defense system really for that that's very good, and you know, eventually. So yeah, like the longer it happens, it just increases the chance. You know, it's just like when you're grinding for your mounts and WoW, and you know that 1% drop rate. You know, I mean, it's 1% for a reason. You got to do it a shitload of times, and it is very low percentage. It's probably never going to happen. It's going to take so long, but eventually. And that's the point. That's kind of what she's indicating there. It's just like, oh, probably not, but if it doesn't erupt, scientists are watching it. You know, that's kind of what she was saying. Good answer. Good answer. Some burgers, man. Let's check out something. Ay. That's some pretty good answers, man. I can't get over that. That works really well. Yeah. Oh, that was a good one. Jeez. Easy. Y'all act like this is like difficult or some shit. Y'all act like this is like difficult or something. Tasty. Tasty.
Sugar crush.
That was a good one. Let's do it. Sugar Crush. Sugar Crush. Sugar Crush. I should use my stylus. Sometimes it's hard to get the thing to go. Sugar Crush. Go, damn you.
Sweet.
Mom is sweet. Sugar Crush.
Sugar Crush.
Sugar Crush. Ooh. Ooh. Let's see. Let's go with. I got like 3 different ones that I want to go with. Which one's better? That one's better. That sets me up for this. Sugar Crush. Not quite. Yep. Trying to get the whole thing done. Wouldn't that be funny? Divine. Delicious.
Sugar Crush.
Sugar Crush. Ooh, this one's cool. Ooh, I like what I can do with this. No, I don't like that suggestion. That's a stupid suggestion. Why are you suggesting that? I'm doing that.
Sugar Crush.
Sugar Crush. Sugar Crush. Oh, another one. Oh my god, I can set this up good too. Yeah. There it is.
Sugar Crush.
Sweet. I like how the button even said sweet. I was like, sweet. Oh, this is too easy. Yeah, they're just gonna... You just work your way down. And we'll go with... That's interesting. Oops. Accidentally hit the wrong one.
Sweet.
Ooh. Nice. That. Ooh. Hello, Sugar Crush. Not quite yet, but I got it. Oops, wrong one.
Sugar Crush.
That's what I was waiting for. Yeah. Cool. I don't need. Let me turn these off. Can I turn them off? Ooh, that's a pretty good one. Let's do that and put this here. And up there. And up there. And there. Oh, how's about that? That was cool.
Divine.
Ooh. How do I do this?
Sugar Crush.
Do not like the suggestions. I will sit there and... Because sometimes it's just not the suggestion I want. How much I got out of it when I didn't do the... It's awesome. Oh, yeah. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Alright. Wait. Oh. I did the wrong thing. Oops. Did the wrong one again. I don't want to do that.
Sweet.
I know. That's pretty sweet. Ooh. Okay. Nice. I see that. There we go. Sets that out. Okay. There it is. Now there's one left. There we go.
Sugar Crush.
It's tough when you're intentional about listening to the suggestions. This is awesome.
Divine. Sweet. Sugar Crush.
Cool.
Sweet.
Alright, 3 stars and everything. That's enough Candy Crush for now. Alright, thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys watching.